with Kim Nechtman Johnson. Did you know it's only 126 days until the beginning of the Florida Watercolor Society convention opening with Stephen Quiller with his demonstration? Now, the kid in me just wants to do countdowns. So Christmas, Florida Watercolor Society, whatever. Now, Steve is a very busy guy. And so to accommodate his busy schedule, we did have to move the exhibition review for Friday morning from 9 to 11. So put that on your calendars. But we had to do that so he can fly out early for his next workshop, which starts the following Sunday. Naturally, this has a domino effect. So we've had to move Kim's demo to Saturday from 11 to 1. You know, just like watercolor, when something goes like you don't plan on it, you have to shift the color or shift the value or something. But artists know how to go with the flow, so we're all good. Now, this year we have some new things, some different things. We've added some things. We have bus transportation this year to the exhibition reception. We have concessions rather than box lunches. We're introducing the new annual Creative Connections raffle baskets. The Dolly Museum is providing a $5 off coupon to go to their museum during the convention week, and it's only 2 blocks from the Hilton. And there's a few other things to be on the lookout for. Oh, how about painting your entire painting just using Daniel Smith watercolor sticks? Well, tune in August to the third Thursday to see one of Daniel Smith's global ambassadors from India sharing his techniques on that. But you'll read all about that in the June newsletter. The Florida Watercolor Society Board has been working very hard to get all of the details ready for the convention and registration, which is opening up June 1st until early September. You want to be sure to register early to get that convention hotel rate. And also the bus tickets are, both of those are limited. So you want to, and on a first come, first serve basis. So make sure you get those registered quickly. Now I want to turn this over to Suzanne Nansky, who is our volunteer coordinator. And we are so happy to have her on our board this year. She's going to give you a few tidbits of information here. Suzanne?
Thank you, Roberta. And as you all just heard, there's so much wonderful stuff coming our way with the convention this year. But we can't pull it off without our wonderful volunteers. And these are people who every year so graciously give a little bit of their time to help us with all the events that take place at the convention. There are some wonderful benefits to volunteering, not the least of which is making friends with new people and being a part of the team that pulls off this show. And also, for every hour that you volunteer, you can get a raffle ticket that goes towards the volunteer gift basket. And you will also be invited to participate in the online volunteer show in November. Most of the volunteer shifts last about 2 hours. There are a couple exceptions, which I'll mention in a second. But there are jobs available for everybody, all different kinds of things, whether it's the registration desk, assisting artists at the demos or acting as a door monitor, the Florida Watercolor Society booth. There's some different raffles for different things. There's setup and takedown for special events like the paint around. There's all kinds of different stuff. This year, Ron Malone, our tech guru, is looking for 6 people to assist him in recording the demos for playback, video playback. And that's a little bit of a longer, it's kind of an all-day job in the demo room, but you have a front row seat to all the demos in that room. And he would be very happy to speak with anyone who has any questions. If you think you might be interested, if you're curious about it, please do contact him. And please contact me if you have any questions about volunteering, any of the positions or any questions you may have. very shortly, registration is going to open up for the convention. And on the convention page, there's a big brown button that says volunteer. And we would love it if you would press that button and sign up to give just a little bit of your time at the convention this fall. And we appreciate our volunteers. And with that, I will turn it over to Kathy.
Hi. Hopefully I'm unmuted. I've been trying to take a Kim Johnson workshop in person for about 5 years. I first had to cancel my registration for one and give it to one of my students when my dog had to have surgery. Then we had the pandemic and that workshop got canceled. I finally scheduled a online workshop with her last year and we had a great time. So I am so looking forward to finally being able to be part of a in-person Kim Johnson workshop. Kim is a signature member of AWS, NWS, San Diego, Transparent, Watercolor West, Western Federations, and other watercolor societies. She discovered her love for the creative process at a young age. On the advice of family and friends concerned that she have a real career, Kim completed her degree in psychology before pursuing her real passion, watercolor. Now fully devoted to her artistic endeavors, Kim's masterful use of glazes and washes, wet and dry technique, and positive and negative space breathes life into pieces focused on the human and animal experience. Her award-winning work is enjoyed by both corporate offices and private collectors. Turn it over to Kim.
I'll start with my brushes. I like the silver black velvet. This is the 3000S series, it's round. They also have a small jumbo that's one of my favorites. It has a very long ferrule and I get a nice point with it if I want, and I can almost use it as a flat brush as well by spreading out all those bristles. How do I show you this? How's that? Excuse me, it is so dry here right now. And I'll be taking my water breaks too, I'm sorry. So the black velvet, the silver black velvet. So those are my favorite brushes. They're very reasonably priced. I think over the years, they've probably gone up in cost. I'm so sorry. Something hit me here. I don't know what it is because I'm inside. My palette is Shy's Art. When I share my screen, I'll be able to show you that better. Should I do that? Shall we do that now? Share my screen so I can show you all this stuff as we go along?
Ron?
I'm going to. I think it's just
Okay.
up to me to do it.
And will you spell that Shy's Art? So if anybody asks, I can write that up.
It's SHYSART.
Okay,
And
thanks.
I believe sometimes Cheap Joe has them on their website. I know you can get them on Etsy. I just lost you guys. What happened?
We can hear you.
But I can't see you.
Oh. Well, I think you're the only one
Oh, there
on
we
the
are.
side there.
Okay, good. I'm trying to make this screen bigger. I just did it right before when we were practicing and I did it just fine.
Yeah,
So-
go to gallery view.
I don't see where that is, Ron. Before, oh, here, right here, that's what I want. Just like that. And then, perfect. Okay, so this one is my black silver, my small jumbo. They also come in medium and large. I have them. I very seldom use them. I use this one quite a bit. I like this one. And of course, I have all of the round ones. I love those too. As big as 16. I think they're even coming as big as 20s. I have them. I haven't really used the big ones, but I have them just in case. So that's for these. Also, this one is my palette, Shy's Art. It's a nice plastic one. The wells are pretty deep. It closes right up. I can take it with me anywhere. And I paint all of my paintings with this. I went from the very large John Pike palette to this, thinking it would help me simmer down on not using quite so much water. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I really like this palette, so I've continued with this. I also have one of these. I am sure it was an old refrigerator lid for something in an old-fashioned refrigerator. And these are just colors that I don't really want to put on my palette, but I keep them over on the side so that I can dip into them if I want. So that's that. And as you can see my reference here, I kept it fairly small because I thought I only have about an hour and a half and I want to make sure I get it pretty much done, if not completed. And these ostriches, not so pretty, but they're lots of fun to paint. Lots of fun to paint. And as you can see, I do like to use masking fluid on these. The problem with masking fluid is that it's wonderful and it's horrible all in the same time. It's wonderful that it saves the whites for me, and it's horrible because every time you take it off, you have to fix it. And every time I say I'm going to use it, I say I'm just going to use a little this time. And the more you put on, the more you think, oh, I could use a little here, or I could use a little there, or I could use a little over there. And even right before this, when I got on with Ron, I said, you know what, I think I need a little bit more right over here. So I will show you, this is what I use. I very, very rarely use a flat brush. It always seems like what happens to me is that I will end up using it like a round brush. So I'll just use the tip of it. But what I really use it for is this wedge. I dip this little edge right here and I can make these lines right here, or I could turn it this way and I can cover more ground. So I have a couple of these in different sizes so that my point is this is the one I use for all of this. So it doesn't, one of them is sufficient. So that's that.
That's a good tip.
This is fabulous. I also use one of these those stylers that I have one sitting right here. But you know what, I don't really care to apply my masking with it because I just can't get quite enough. It leaves a very large dot and then it gives you just about nothing. So I try not to use that very often. Unless I'm trying to do something really tiny. But you see, I have a couple of these.
Mhm.
They're nice. They're nice to have for this reason.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about my colors just a little bit. I'm for people who are going to be taking my workshop, you will get the supply list and all of these colors will be named. But I don't encourage you to go and purchase all of them because if you don't like them, then they sit in your drawer. I have a rollabout full of colors that I purchased when I took classes, and they pretty much sit there because they don't fit in with what I have going on here. And I swear to myself, every time I go to buy a paint, oh no, I'm going to use up what I have. And I'm like, yes, but I have to have my green, or I have to have my cerulean. So I swear, and then I break my promise to myself.
Mhm.
But there are only a couple of them that I really demand that they be a particular brand, and that's my burnt sienna and my cad orange. And the only ones that I like in those two colors is the Winsor Newton. And I'm saying that I just learned this last weekend that even Daniel Smith has this burnt sienna color. It's just not named burnt sienna. I'm asking my friend that was telling me about this, the different names of and brands with this exact formula for burnt sienna. But it feels like to me that any other burnt sienna, they almost fill it up with dirt and they sell it to you for $20 or whatever it is. So that's why I go with the Winsor Newton. But like I said, if I can figure out which of the other ones and what their names are, I may switch. We'll see what happens. And I have to assume it's the same with my cad orange. I have a really hard time using like cad yellow and things like that. To me, they're very garish. And I see other people using them and I think, boy, that's beautiful. And I use it and I think, oh boy, that's garish. I don't like that. So the cad orange in the Winsor Newton is very yellow. So I use this as my yellow. And my cobalt violet light is the Sennelier. It seems like it's that brand has the least amount of white paint and the pigment. So I like that one. Okay. Having said all of that, are there any questions?
No questions yet, but I wrote those colors down because I know I'll be getting those at the trade show.
Yes, and also those will be on my supply list. They are clearly marked Winsor Newton, Winsor Newton. But by that time, hopefully I will have the other list that says, like I said, I do know that Daniel Smith puts out this exact color. It's just called something different. I don't know what it's called, so
Okay.
we'll figure
But
that.
that was that cobalt violet light was
Was
the
it.
Sennelier.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So shall I start painting?
Okay, we're ready. We're ready
Okay.
for magic.
Perfect. I will try to show you my mixture as I go along. There's just not quite enough room here to be able to see it all unless I cover my painting. So I have decided that I am going to use my Winsor purple, which is not one of my normal colors. That's why this is another reason why I really don't want people just to run right out and buy all of my colors. Because if I don't happen to use one of them, you'll be like, oh my God, I spent, $20 on this and she didn't even open that tube. And it's a possibility that would happen.
Is
So-
that Winsor violet kind of like the Carbazole violet? Is it really dark like that, or?
Yeah, that I don't know, because I
Okay.
don't know what the Carbazole looks like. It's dark, but it also gives a really pretty glaze.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason why I'm using it sometimes.
And did you talk about the paper yet that you're using?
Oh, this particular paper, I'm sure is my Winsor Newton, excuse me, the Arches. I got Winsor Newton on the head at mine. This is Arches, it's 140. For a long time, I was pretty snobbish about my paper, and I would only use the 300-pound Winsor cold press. I do have Winsor on the mind. Arches, cold press, bright white, 300-pound. And if I were going to use the hot press, the only one that I like is the 300-pound bright white Fabriano. Okay, so now I've changed. I'm not so snobby anymore. Paper's gotten really, really expensive. I changed to 140 and I'm fine with 140. I still have quite a bit of the 300-pound and I use it when I really want to. But I'm even trying some of the Saunders. I like that. I like the rough. At my last workshop that I just did last week, the girls were talking about the 200-pound. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to in the Saunders. And you can only get that in the cold press. But I did buy it in the 140 rough. And I'm not sure why I didn't get it in the bright white. I just bought it in the natural, and it feels like it's so yellow, but then when I'm done with the painting, it seems like that yellowness kind of goes away. You just don't notice.
Right.
So, and
You'll have to report back on the Saunders for us.
the 140 rough, I like it. It's a nice paper, and I understand why they really have gone to that. Lots of the professional artists, especially over in Europe, have always used it. It is extremely forgiving. Extreme. If you decide you don't like something, you can go right back in there and take it away. It's no big deal. So
Even the staining colors?
I don't really know even which of my own colors are staining, but I haven't had a problem with any.
Oh,
I'm not
awesome.
one of those, like I said, when this person was saying that the burnt sienna was the same as blah, blah, I haven't gotten into, oh, the PR 101 is the same here, is the same there. Which ones are staining? I seem to find out by accident. No, that one was staining. I can't get rid of that.
Yeah.
So that's what's happened. And I think most of those I've kind of turned away from. I can't even remember what it was now. It could have been indigo. Is indigo staining?
Oh, I don't know about indigo. I know the phthalos are.
Yeah, I think the phthalos are too. And I have this one I think that I have just put on my palette right here. I think that this one, the only problem with using something like this is you forget what colors you're using. And
Yeah.
but I do know this is my Winsor purple, and this one is my Winsor blue. So that's what I'm using here. And
Okay.
I'm going to also use some, it's Schminky translucent orange. So these are the 3 basic colors I'm going to start with. I like to tell people who are taking my class, please do as I say, not as I do. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you use too many colors when you're doing something like this, you end up with mud. You have to be very careful that you're not over mixing things and that your mixing is happening right here on your piece of paper. That's huge. But even there, if you get to the point where you're mixing around too much, or we use too much water from the spray bottle, it turns to mud. And I can attest that I know this from experience. So one of the ways for me to start with something like this is I pretty much like to just come in here and just start with something like this.
Oh,
I can take my brush and I can change shapes of some of these things, although I don't really care about doing that just yet. I just want to get something happening on my piece of paper here. I'm trying to keep, I want to put value where I have value, and I'll try to keep light what I need light. And I will take my spray bottle. This particular spray bottle is more like a raindrop. I have another one that's more like a mist. And I'm pretty careful about where I want. I'm not just putting it on here willy-nilly. If I find that some of this is going on, I can take my paper towel, just dab on it. I could also, I need value over here, so I'm not too concerned about some of this. But I do want to get my lips in. I find that these ostriches, if I give them lips that look like they've got lipstick on, they're fun. They're fun. And I love them. So they see there, I already went in for more color. I picked up some of my Winsor red.
and you're using your jumbo brush now.
I am the small jumbo.
Yeah.
I don't have a tendency to change my brushes in the middle of painting either. If I start with this, I more than likely will finish with it. It just seems like it's a lot of hassle to change these things around. So even though I have used masking fluid, I don't have it everywhere. So I still need to be somewhat careful about where I'm laying my colors. I'm gonna grab some yellow here too. This one I believe is a Hansa yellow. I just kind of started testing the waters with it. We'll see what happens. But what I would be most look forward to on some of this stuff is just to make sure that I don't leave hard lines where I will not want them. That's the important part.
Typically, do you have a specific area you do leave your hard lines, or do you always try to keep them softer?
At this particular point, I would keep them softer
Okay.
because you just never know what's happening and where you're going to want to come back and work on something. And also another thing, when you are going to use masking fluid, you need to approach your painting as if you haven't used any masking fluid, so that everything feels like it's a natural thing happening. That is the best thing that can happen for you when you go to take off your masking fluid. You won't have as much to fix, because believe me, there's stuff to fix. And with these things too, if my light side fills in too much, I don't have a problem coming in and using white paint. Again, I used to be a purist. I felt like that was cheating. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no cheating. We do whatever it takes. I feel like if John Singer Sargent and John Yardley and those people could use white, I think I'm capable of using it too.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah. And I'm going to pull out some of these pieces over here. Now I'm still going to do a background here, but I want there to be some of these hard lines. I don't like what happened here, so I'm just going to try to make some of that go away. We'll see what happens. I never get too fussy about these things. If, like I said, I didn't like that. Oh, well, we'll keep moving. We'll see what happens. But I want all of my mixing, as much as possible anyway, to happen right here on my piece of paper. Now, I know I can't get dark value with this orange. I may have to switch this up a little bit, and that's okay. You always have to have your lines in here too, a little bit, so that you can read where your shadow line is supposed to be. The fun thing about doing these birds, they're so ugly. Nobody even cares if you have paint that dries goofy. It's just not that big of a deal. And even if I were doing a dog, it just wouldn't make any difference. Nobody looks at your painting and says, oh, fur doesn't do that. Well, it could. You don't know.
That's, yeah. Now, where is this photo reference from? It looks like there's a stadium or a fair
There
back
is.
there.
One person asked me, what is that? I said, I think it's a balloon.
Yeah.
We have an ostrich festival every year down in Chandler.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I went one year and I think there were 3 ostriches. I was like, this is what they call a festival?
Yeah.
So it was funny. But I got quite a few pictures, which were very fun. Because they're really just not, they're not attractive birds. Sometimes they have this bluish film that goes over their eyes, and you're like, what is going on? Is it sleep? Is it gonna spit on me? What's it gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, most of my ostrich photos are from the zoo.
I don't even know if we have an ostrich at our zoo. I don't have a clue, quite honestly. I've gone several times. I just don't know. And I don't really need to be real careful about this eye either, other than I did not use masking fluid where I feel like it would have a highlight. I don't like the way that feels when if I should use masking fluid for that. So I try to avoid it. And I'm using just about all my colors. I'm using my purple, my blue. I did add an burnt sienna to it. I'll have to come back here and darken this up too. And that's okay. I want to get a little bit of this red stuff happening over on the lid portion. I can bring it right out into her hair. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
It's something. Feathers.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that stuff on an ostrich.
I don't either.
It seems to be more hair on the head
Isn't
and
it?
stuff,
Yeah.
and then feathers on the body part. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. But some of these types of things happening, they could end up being very interesting. So I don't worry about this stuff drying a little cattywampus. Sometimes I even encourage it. I want to get some of these little shapes that are going on in her lips.
Oh,
I
yeah.
call it a her. I have no idea if it's a her or him. But she's gonna be a she because I'm gonna give her a she name.
There you go. I like that plan. Yeah. I think you have everybody mesmerized here. Everybody's so quiet.
Well, tell them to talk.
Yeah. I mean,
I told
surely they got some questions here. Oh, here we go.
Perfect.
Richard wants to know, do you ever use white gouache or are you a watercolor? Oh, or are you a watercolor purist?
No, that's what I just
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Right. Well, did he ask that question before I answered that?
No, he just asked that. He might not
Okay.
have been here when you answered
Okay.
it before.
So the answer is absolutely. I used to be a purist. I used to think if we're going to do watercolor, it needs to be watercolor. But I have definitely come to the understanding that if like John Singer Sargent and John Yardley, people like that can use white gouache, I can too.
Now,
These,
do you
go ahead.
use gouache or watercolor or the
I
white
use
watercolor
both.
paint or what?
I use both.
Okay.
And I feel like I still am kind of going back and forth with it, thinking which one is the better one and why.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can't tell you. I think gouache, after your painting is completely dry, I think you get a better white cover.
Mhm.
Sometimes with the watercolor white, you just don't get a great cover.
Mhm.
It seems like it kind of turns back into. This is still a little wet, and I really kind of want it to be a little wet, so it fuzzes this out. If I have to come back, I'm good with that. I can hear my husband talking. I don't know if you guys can. I need to go tell him to shut his door. Is that all right with you?
No, we don't hear them though.
Okay, okay, good. And so I'm really just concentrating on doing value where there's value. And maybe I could show you a little closer here. When you look right up in here, you can see that I have done a little bit of a hatch mark in through here. And that's to help me with the shape of what's happening on my reference.
Oh,
Now, I don't know if you want me to leave it like that, bigger, or go back smaller. You tell me.
right there looks good for now anyway.
Okay.
So someone's commenting that your colors are so beautiful. Do you intentionally only use black and white reference photos?
Yes. Yes. And let me tell you another reason why I would do that, and especially for this, because these babies are ugly. And they don't have any color in them at all. If I only use the color photo of this bird, I would be suckered into using those colors, and I don't want to. So my answer is absolutely yes, black and white, and the same for all the animals. I want to make up the color for myself.
Mhm.
I turned the AC up in here, and that might be what's making me cough. Maybe there's dust in the.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
One of our folks wants to know if you would consider sending us your source photo so they can try to paint the ostrich on their own.
Well, I don't mind doing that, but you can also, instead of waiting for me to do that, you can get your own. I mean, all you have to do is go out on the internet and they have them. I had a situation where I shared my reference and especially my ostrich painting. I am not a photographer, okay? So I always feel when I get something that's paintable, it's almost a miracle. Because
Mhm.
just not a photographer. And the person went back home and put her paintings that she did in my class in her gallery. And
Oh,
I wasn't overly excited by that.
yeah.
So you would be better off getting your own reference for this. And that way, if it turns out lovely, you certainly could put it in your gallery. So what did I really answer?
Uh, about they wanted a copy of the photo
I know,
reference.
but did I
So,
I think that it would be better if you did your own reference for this.
yeah. Mhm.
Because like I said, if it turns out wonderful, then you can certainly do something with it.
Right.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Perfect sense. And she said dandy.
Perfect.
His eye is looking, oh my goodness, awesome.
They're so funny.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, they are absolutely, if you ever get an opportunity to go and look at it at your own zoo or whatever and take some pictures there as well. But they are not a pretty bird. but they're funny. And I have painted these a lot. Like I said, I had one that went to the, I'm sure, yeah, the Adirondack show last year. And
Mhm.
she won an award, she
Mhm.
she won an award. And I've had them go to Fallbrook. Do you know that show?
I'm not familiar with that one, but I'm sure
It
several of our
happens to be
members
in
will.
California.
Oh, okay.
Um, that one didn't win an award, but it sold, so it felt like an award.
There you go.
So
And you're still using the same colors now,
same
right?
brush, same
Okay.
brush, same colors. I mean, I've added a few more. I put in my burnt sienna. I have that red. When this is this might be dry enough. I can give this a bit of a wash, pull it down. And I really want to get in here too and start showing that this is under. But of course, I just got it wet, so. And
Do
then
you
you
worry
have,
about blossoms?
no, that's why I said with these and even any animal, it just gives it a little more interest. If I've got a blossom, it's just like with this lip thing happening here. We'll see what happens, but
Mhm.
I'm not upset by that at all. I do feel like this keeps disappearing, even though I keep putting a lot of paint on there.
Mhm.
And notice that I'm painting very directional. So it feels like these things are going around the beak. So they're not just a flat wash.
I have that same brush. Mine doesn't paint as well as yours.
Oh, I'll bet it does.
No, I bought it after the online workshop that you did at Tampa Bay and
Uh-huh.
artists, and nope, mine doesn't paint that well.
It's you have to practice with it. It's just like anything else.
Yeah.
This one is very much I mean, I'm sitting back over here. You can't see this, but I have a towel, a
Mhm.
big towel that I use.
Okay.
I'm squeezing out lots of my,
So are you squeezing out the water before you go into your paint palette then?
oh yeah, because otherwise
Okay.
I'm just carrying more water over here and I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's what I found. I mean, and I use the silver black velvets, but that one just holds twice as much water, it seems.
It does. And see, I'm standing here, I'm moving. And as
Yeah.
I'm doing it, I'm forming what my next brush stroke is going to be. Am I going to use it as a flat brush or do
Oh.
I need more of a point?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm anticipating what my brush stroke is going to be. And sometimes I don't even dip into the water. I just go straight to my different colors and I just keep moving.
Mm.
This is all in shade over here, so I
Mhm.
can get a lot of value in this.
Yeah.
I just soften that up there. And I'm going to come back here and I'm going to get some more red moving in this area because I want this to show a bit of a separation.
Yeah, has that paper started to dry there?
Here, maybe.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, how are you getting that crisp line with it damp though?
But I also need some texture. Go ahead. What was that?
Well, it just looked like the paper had to have been dry because you were getting such a nice line there.
We'll see. It might disappear.
Oh, oh, okay.
I often say too that it seems to me that each painting is almost a new experience for me. I don't have a formula. There are lots of artists out there that, well, okay, we're going to do the eye first, then we're going to move to the lips, and then we're going to do this. I don't do that. These things are, it depends on how I feel that day or where I want to start.
Hmm.
So therefore, I could end up with a real mess, or I could end up with a masterpiece. I like it when it's the masterpiece.
Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine you have many messes though.
Oh, well, it happens. We don't like to show those too much, but it happens. But I really need to show some texture happening in through here too, because there's lots of stuff happening underneath the chin of this ostrich. I can start coming up this way and doing a few hairy things as well. I don't want them all to be the same color. I'm not just saying that for your benefit, I'm saying it for mine, so it reminds me to change my color.
So maybe we could zoom out a little bit because some folks want to see the colors you're picking up on your palette there. Okay.
If I could, I need to get moving on some of my background stuff too.
Mhm.
I'm going to move this up because see, I am picking up this color here. And if it feels like my brush has got too much water in it, I'm running it along the side here so that I can get these nice little hairy things happening. And if I need to change a shape, we change a shape. I think this might be a good time for me to do something more with that background. It'll help me figure out a few things. So
now during your workshop, you'll still be doing the same style of painting.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out quite what it is that I'm going to paint, but having said that, most of the time I like to try to paint something with spots or with stripes. This last workshop, I did not do that. And I don't think that they much cared one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if I hear back from you guys, yes, we want to do stripes and yes, we want to do something with spots, I will definitely do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do this though.
Well, I like the way you do the splatters and incorporate that into your shadows and things.
Yes.
And so I guess we're going to learn lots of this in our 4-day workshop that you'll
I'm
be
going to learn so
teaching.
much that you will go away thinking, oh my goodness, now what?
Yeah. Now, do you think you're going to focus like 2 days on animals and 2 on portraits, or
I
you're still
probably
kind of
will.
working that out?
Yeah, no, I probably will, because it feels fair for the people who really want to learn how to do portraits. If you come to me and say, we only have, 1 or 2, I'll cut it back
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not so many days with something that most people are not interested in doing. Now, so I have to get a value going here out in this area, because if I don't, these little white hairs up in this area and over in this area are never going to show. So I have to do that. But I can incorporate some of this right into my subject. And that's what I like to do. That helps bring the subject right into the painting. Like it all belongs together. See right here, I might have to use some white right here.
And what's that blue you're using now?
I think this is my
Is that
Winsor.
the Winsor blue? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to make a mistake with this, do I? Because according to you, it's staining. Could be, I don't know.
Oh, well, I don't know about Winsor blue, but phthalo blue is.
Well, basically, they're the same, right?
Well, I've never used the Winsor blue, so I don't know.
Well, okay, so I have a very strong line, and there is kind of a strong line, but I don't want it to be quite that strong. And I need there to be a bit of a connection up this way. So I'm going to pull some of that down. So it doesn't feel like it's such a hard line.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. Did I get that out of shape just a little here? It's nice to have this little monitor here because I can tell if I'm moving in the right direction or if I made a mistake, I can see it pretty quickly.
Well, and the good news is ostriches always have bad hair days. So if it's a little.
You got it. Very bad hair days. And I do have a tendency to make their backgrounds more blue because I'm looking up at it and it's a sky thing.
Mhm.
And see, this is where I can make another connection, bringing it right into the ostrich here, this way.
Yeah, it did.
We're gonna see if this is gonna pick up just a little. One thing I didn't mention is I do love these little eradicators. I don't know if your group uses them.
That rosemary?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're great brushes.
Now you're using it, applying the paint?
No, I'm trying,
you're-
I want to see
you're
if this
lifting.
really is a staining color. It might be and it might not be.
Okay, I see. Okay, I couldn't tell if you were putting paint on her.
But I
Lifting.
would, see, I would do this easy enough. I would come up here and do this.
Oh,
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
Oh, looky there.
Yep. I paint with this quite often.
I remove with that quite often.
Well, I do the same. You see, I should have left that alone.
Mhm.
Well, we'll see what happens. This here, we need to get a bit of a shadow happening up this way. So let's just keep right on moving. We're going to make sure that I'm getting the shadow shapes where I need shadow shapes, where I need texture. We're going to put in some texture. We're going to let the background dry a little bit. I feel like this could use a little connecting in through here. And I'm going to come back on this side as well and give some darker feather shapes, whatever you want to call it. And because this should be fairly dry, a little bit dry, I should be able to give this a little bit more. This, so I can get texture moving. If it feels like it's in the wrong place, we just take our little paper towel, dab at it. That one's already dry, that's fine. And then keep right on moving.
Yeah.
This feels like there's a bit of a line right here that I don't really want. And this is cold pressed paper, so I can get in here with my finger, I can smudge some stuff up. Um, yeah. And I may even decide to bring in some green. That's what I think I'm missing is some green.
Mm.
I love to put green in these too.
And what green are you using now?
This one is my serpentine genuine.
Okay, oh, I love that color.
I do too. I
That's-
realize I use it a lot.
And that's Daniel Smith, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I had filled this up before I went to my last workshop. And when I got back, my green was almost completely gone.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. And one of the really nice things about the serpentine is, you don't want to mix your purple here. It's got too much yellow in this and just make the dead color.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you come over here and you add it this way, it makes a beautiful color when you let it commingle all on its own.
And one of our members wants to know what size photo you print that you printed out there that you're
Okay,
using.
this is only an 8x8. That's why I said I really wanted to make sure that I could get most of this done for you during this demo. And but I use a program, it's called, and then also all of this information will be on what I send out.
Mhm.
I use a program, it's called Split Print. And it's an Apple app. And if you go on the Apple website or the App Store, you can get it for like $6. It's like the best $6 you will ever spend.
And it's called Split Print.
Correct.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
it's if you don't have a Mac and you want to put it on your PC, it's called Print and the symbol and whatever that's called, and Print. So you can still have it. And that one might also be $6 or something. I don't really remember. I don't know because I don't have
Yeah.
a PC. But it's this is the best money spent ever as far as I'm concerned. Because you can print something as big as you want. If you wanted it to be a whole room's worth, you could print it that big. And it's a very easy program to use.
And so one of our members wants to know if the bubbling of paper bothers you.
It's not bubbling too bad now. Do you
Okay.
mean these?
I don't know. You know, sometimes like when you're using 140, you know, the paper will kind of bubble. I guess that's what they were talking about.
You know what? I have a tendency to use so much water anyway that
Mhm.
even on my 300-pound paper, it does the same.
Yeah.
So my answer is no.
Yeah. Doesn't bother you at all.
No.
So how many paintings, how many projects do you think you will complete during the course of the 4-day workshop?
Well, I know I'll do at least 4.
Okay, so do one a day.
Probably even more. For
So
me,
how do you organize your workshop? Do you kind of demo and then they paint, you
I
demo,
demo, they paint, we do lunch, I demo, they paint. And if it's
Okay.
such a thing as they want it to be more, if they want me to demo less amount of time, give them time to catch up to where I'm at, then I demo again, then they paint again. I'm very, I see what the class wants and I give it to them.
Gotcha,
That's
yeah.
what, yeah, that's what I have a tendency to do. If they say they really want to watch me do this, but it was way too much information all at once, then I back off and I do it in shorter spurts and I give them more demos.
Do you usually do like critiques at the end of the each day
If they
or at
want
the
me
end of?
to, I definitely will. My last class, we didn't. I think that they were getting that as we were going along, so they didn't really
Oh,
care.
Yeah.
But again, I'm open. Whatever they want me to do, I will do. Whatever fits their agenda, I'm open.
I probably should mention that your class is filling up very quickly.
Nice.
And yeah, and you only have a few spots left. So
Better get busy.
yeah, but they better get busy or they're gonna miss out.
I have a girlfriend that was that I met in another class. She wanted to get signed up, and I don't know if she is or not, but I will have to call her and tell her. Because I don't really have any pull. How it goes.
You have lots of pull with us now.
Oh, okay, cool. This is gonna need another wash, and I may as well do that as I'm waiting for all of this to dry. I also don't have a tendency to use a blow dryer because it changes the way the paint dries. Once it's kind of set in its way, I probably could. It's not really probably that big of a deal. At this particular point, I probably could. But see here, I can even these are pretty dark eyelashes over here. But when I get over to this edge, this is all going to be pretty dark feathers. But if I felt like I wanted to keep a little of them a different value, at this point, I could give a few different values before I go in with really dark. I don't want to leave this hard line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do this first. Yeah, and I need to bring this right back in here. And some of these on this side can be a different value as well. So I don't have to cover all of that up. It'll give it a sense of depth. And I figured that I would have my dad mount this one on a board anyway, so I'm not worried about my edges.
Mm-hmm. Kim, somebody mentioned that they did not see that split print in the App Store.
You know what? I think the last time that I went looking for it, I had a difficult time finding it as well, but I do know that it's there. Google it.
Okay.
And then see if you can find it that way, and it'll take you maybe into the App Store.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of peeked on mine real quick and I didn't see it right off the bat. So
Yeah,
not
it
sure.
seems to me like one of the last times I had to Google it, and that's how I could get to it through the App Store. I don't know why. I just had no idea.
You just had somebody sign up to the workshop.
Yay! Yippee-ki-yay!
Yeah, and maybe if you can we'll try that, and if we can't find it, then possibly if you can take a snapshot of
will.
what that app looks
The
like.
little symbol looks like, yes.
Yeah. I can always find them by the symbol, but sometimes the words
I know.
but then I'm not the most techie person, so.
I'm not either. And quite honestly, when I couldn't find it on the App Store for somebody else, I was thinking, oh my God, they're discontinuing. And I didn't like that thought at all. this is the other nice thing about doing an animal or bird. You don't have to make your strokes beautiful. Kind of the more erratic they are, the better they are.
Yeah. Well, he certainly has a lot of personality.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody found it when they Googled it.
Yeah, I see. I don't know why that is. I think that's very strange.
So now somebody mentioned that the split print was like a rapid resizer, possibly.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, I don't know. That's probably another app.
Uh, if you go on to the actual app, you have to change it from pages to inches. And once you change the inch portion of it, it automatically changes the other so that it keeps your painting in proportion.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very helpful. Somebody, well, Janine has found the split print app and she has actually put it in the Q&A section. So
Perfect.
anyone having problem with that, they can go and click that link.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Actually, we had two folks found it. Good job, guys. Did I tell you somebody just signed up? How cool is that?
Yeah. Really want to get the shadow in here.
Yeah. The eyes you used, the burnt sienna, the blue, and what was the third color you used for
Purple.
that?
Yeah.
Purple, the violet. Okay,
Yep.
right.
And I
His eyes are just, that eye is just amazing.
want to bring this up a little. I want my shadow shape to come up. I'm squeezing out all of my water from my brush so that none of it goes back into. I want to soften this up. This one's already going to be hard. I have a little masking fluid here. I use the PBO, and again, it's good and it's bad because the PBO has got value. And so if you're trying to paint this and you see that green value, you just have to remember in your head that it is white.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Janine mentioned that the masking on the whiskers really helps a lot because you can see those whiskers now.
Yeah.
And Elaine wants to know, where's the other eye? Is it out of the
These
photo?
eyelashes, you don't actually see it from this angle.
Okay.
I want to make sure though that I have this correct. I don't have these eyelashes in there, and then I think that will start showing that he's got another eye. I've painted him before. He's the one that I won an award with last year at the Adirondack show, but he's got a much longer neck.
Oh,
So I know that portion of it reads. I want to lighten up just a little bit of this here. So it feels like he's got the top lid. And then I'll come in there and make a little harder line when that dries a little more. I'm really trying to get some of this to dry. I thought I could be a much drier painter today. I'm not sure why I thought that, but I did. You know, sometimes you just are who you are.
Now, do you find that painting in Arizona is easier than in Costa Rica where it's more humid?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, I do.
Now, see, here in Florida, the days that it's really dry, I have the worst time painting because I'm so used to painting where it's humid.
Not funny.
Yeah.
Some of these little wild hairs going on here because he really has darker hair going all the way across the top of his head. But I still have to get some of this moving. Big glob in there. Well, one of the things that I really like to tell students as well is I am just as capable of failing as you are. So please don't think that every one of my paintings is going to be a masterpiece. It just doesn't happen. I would like it to happen, but it just doesn't happen, okay?
Yep. Now, do you ever use the Winsor Newton colorless masking fluid?
No, I don't even know about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Janine was mentioning that they have one. I have not tried it either.
Well, maybe they'll give us a sample.
Oh, there you go.
Wouldn't that be nice? So is that reading more like an eye now that I've got some of those eyelashes in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've kind of gone off the screen, so we really don't see the photo anymore. So I think that's why they were asking that question as well.
Which photo? On my screen, I can see both the reference and the painting.
Oh, you can't. Well, maybe it's me. Wait a minute. It could be me. Because I've been going in and out trying to look up other. There we go. It's there. It was just me.
Okay. Because I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah. We have another signed up.
Yay. Bring your friends, guys.
You're going to be full and busy.
Good. I like that. It seems like what most people have an issue with, and maybe I do as well. I could, we'll never say never, but is that there are times we just need to get away from our painting. You just have to get away from the painting. So I often tell people, and this seems like it's going to be a really good thing for this, go make yourself a new friend. Because you have to get away. You have to let things dry, all of those things. And like I said, sometimes I'm just as guilty of it. And if somebody would say to me, get away from your painting, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
This, even though this is very light right through here, I need, now I'm going to do something that I just said that I wasn't going to do. I'm changing my brush because that brush seemed to be leaving, for this size of a painting, it's leaving too big of dots of paint. Here we have these little nicer little pieces here that I need. So I'm willing to go back on my word and tell you them, okay?
You're just going with the flow.
I am. It's the way of it. And I need all this little texture happening here. I know you can't just have it in a couple little spots. And if it does something you don't want it to, then just dab at it. No biggie. And we can take our brush and we can do some of these things. Our brushes are very handy. We don't just have to use the brush. You can use the other end too. So I'm just grabbing up the color I've already laid down. It's like having another palette right here, and I already have my colors mixed. So I don't have to come over
We'll have
here
to
and
go.
say, what exactly was that color? I already have it.
Right. Oh, we are on the 15-minute mark here.
Ooh. Okay, well, I don't know if I'll be able to take the masking fluid off
Yeah, probably not.
because it'll be too wet. I was hoping to do that. That went fast. Did you guys speed up time?
I don't think so, but that's what the clock here says, and it is one of those on the computer, so I don't think they're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, and someone, Susan said that she found the split print. It is capital S with a capital P, and it is one word. And it states that the app allows you to split big posters into multiple
Huge.
pages.
You can
And
do.
then you print each page out, and I guess you tape it together. And it
Yes,
costs
that's what I did.
$5.99.
How
Yeah,
much?
$5.99.
Perfect. See, it's not, it really, it's like the best $5.99 you're gonna ever spend. Because it's one of those apps, you will use it for the rest of your life. Whether you use it at this or not, you will use it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up because I usually enlarge mine. I put my picture in my Excel spreadsheet and then I enlarge it to the size I want. But sometimes when it prints out, there'll be places that there's nothing there. So,
You'll be amazed.
yeah. Sounds like an answer to a lot of problems.
It is, believe me. Let's see, we'll do that. I'm trying to rush so that you guys can see more of this. I do probably think I'm going to come in here with a little bit of white, but I'm not even sure where. It has to dry first.
Mhm.
And so also one of the nice things about using the palette that I have going on here with the colors is I know what these colors will do with each other. When I start introducing some of these other colors on the outside of all of this, I'm not sure how they're going to interact. So that's why I also say you have to be careful with some of that. Because if it doesn't work, then you've got a great painting going on. You just, it kind of is all for naught.
When you were, we had a question about the masking. You had put it on the eyelashes and the whiskers and some around the neck. Is that correct? Or was there some
I
other
have lots
places?
of it here on the
Oh, on the
lips.
lips. Uh-huh.
I have a couple pieces for the eyelashes because they've got a little sparkle going on over here.
Mhm.
And then I have some on the hairs going up.
Okay.
They have a tendency to have a light hair that comes like right out of the middle of their forehead. And I think I have a piece there. I hope I do.
Mhm.
But like even like right here, you guys, this is a place where you want to leave some of your own negative shapes going on. I know I have my masking fluid laid there, but if I can make a couple of natural negative shapes all on my own, when I take off my masking fluid, it will be much more, I'll have less to clean up.
Right. I have a question here, Kim. It says, does Lynn project images onto the paper? I don't know what that is.
Does what?
Does Lynn, Lin, project images onto the paper? I
I
don't know if
don't know
that's
what
an
that means.
app or, yeah, I don't know what that is either. Yeah. And you're going to be doing a one-on-one critiques during the workshop.
Yes,
I mean, during the convention, yeah.
yes.
And that's $50 each. So, and that's also limited. So folks will need to sign up for that one.
Ooh, you guys got lots of stuff to sign up for there.
Yeah.
My cat has decided that she's done with me not paying attention to her.
Uh-oh.
Here she comes.
She wants
So-
some hugs, huh?
Oh, she wants to be right in the middle of all this. This got a little full, so I'm just gonna try to lighten up some of these layers right through.
Kim, you only have 4 spaces left in your workshop.
Wow,
You are going to be so busy.
I like to be busy.
Well, you're good.
Good thing, you're right.
Yeah.
That's
And
bad.
when we send out the replay of this third Thursday, folks will be able to watch that video and see the final painting, as well as when you've removed the masking fluid, and then at the beginning where you applied that masking fluid, for those that were wondering that.
Yes. I also applied it along this, not all the way along this edge, but where you see really light pieces of it, I crossed the line from where where this is, because it does
Yes.
intersect on a few of those spaces.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm not even really too worried about the edges because I made it a little bit bigger, so when I do go in there and have this mounted, it'll go right.
Oh, this is funny. So I see now what the question is. Not does Lynn project images onto the paper, but does Kim project her images onto
No.
the paper?
Kim does not. I have a projector that I keep down south. I don't really like to use it. It doesn't give me the information that I need for a painting.
Mhm,
I much prefer this other way of doing it.
mhm.
But even having said that I project or that I trace some of this stuff, if you cannot draw it, you will have a very, very hard time painting it, because you have to know how to make an eye sit in the socket. You have to know how to pull that beak out so that it comes forward. And so all of that goes along with drawing. So if somebody feels like they don't have great drawing skills right now, you may decide to go to your local place where you guys can get in on some drawing lessons that are reasonably
Mhm.
priced and all that good stuff. Drawing is very important for a watercolor artist. Very important. I never want to downgrade that at all. The other thing is even if you're tracing this, you have to remember that after you've traced it, you have to go back and redraw it, because with that tracing paper, it will dissolve in the first wash that you put on your paper. So you really need to remember that.
Okay. All right, we have 5 minutes, Kim.
Okay.
So,
I'm not
like-
gonna be able to finish this for you guys, so anytime you are ready to sign off,
Well, I
will
want to
sign-
see if there's any last minute questions here
Okay,
before we do that. We have had a couple, comments about you're doing a great job and
thank you.
how great he looks. He has so much personality.
But that's because of the colors that I've used, not because, like I said, he's he's
Mhm.
ugly. So that's because of the color, and that's why I want you to use a black and white when you're doing this, so that yours can look equally as beautiful as mine.
Yeah.
Because he's just not a pretty bird. I mean, really, when you go looking out for one of these on the internet, you're going to find ugly. They're not
For
pretty.
sure.
And I always say we have to keep our sense of humor about ourselves in all of this, because watercolor is very, very difficult. And if you can't have a sense of humor about it and laugh and have a good time, then we just end up crying.
That's
It's
true.
hard.
That's true.
It's hard.
Well, Kim, we've just really enjoyed this so much, and watching this magic here, and just want to remind everybody that you'll have a newsletter in your June email, so be on the lookout for all the updates about the convention and workshops. And he's just, it seems like the more you do, the more he comes to life here.
I'm just gonna continue working until you say that we're signing off, Kim.
Oh,
How's that?
you're going to keep painting until we say,
We've left.
sorry. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. This has been just such a wonderful time to spend the evening with you tonight. And just so happy to have all of our Florida Watercolor Society members tune in tonight, and hope everyone has enjoyed this and are inspired to go find a picture of an ostrich or run by the zoo.